Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome to the Crip Chronicles. My name is Kate. This is my co-host Maggie, a certified knee breaker, double ACL tear rupture survivor, and an intramural champion runner-up.
What's up, guys? I'm Maggie. This is my co-host Kate, who's potentially a collegiate athlete. We don't know yet. She hasn't competed, and she's been in college for 2 years. She's recovering from a leisurely hike that may or may not have resulted in 2 ruptured ligaments in her ankle.
So we created this podcast to talk about injury, sports, life, random nonsense, and everything in between.
Throughout this podcast, we hope to discuss many topics surrounding sports and injury, including diving deep into the mental side of injury, as well as the entire recovery process, and also including science and research that is being done in different athletic teams at the collegiate and professional level.
In our short time from knowing each other, we have learned from each other's perspectives and experiences. We've also been able to learn about each other's injuries since they're so different.
It's also been nice talking with someone who understands the process of injury, and it has allowed us to express so many more thoughts on the topic, and we realized that we had a lot to say. We hope to help each other throughout this process by being able to speak about the things that could easily be bottled up.
We found that it's easier to talk to someone who's gone through a long-term injury because we think that people who haven't gone through a long-term injury might not necessarily find it annoying, but it's harder for them to relate, so they feel like they don't really have much of a say.
Yeah, or input on the topic.
Because they haven't gone through it, so...
Yeah, I feel like... Sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel like prior to, having a knee injury the first time, I had a couple of friends that had gone through knee surgery, and I always thought, I understand, and I, completely thought that I did understand what they were going through,
mm-hmm.
but, until I actually went through it myself, I realized I had no idea, anything that they had gone through.
Yeah, or, even just the fact that you just see so much, on the outside, or, I know we've talked about before, how it truly is, a long-term injury. For some people, on the outside who haven't gone through it, they might just be it's just it's a month after, you're walking now. They see it month by month,
mm-hmm.
per se, but, for us, it's so much, day to day.
Yeah, and just, mentally.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this summer, it was, 6 weeks where I couldn't, put any weight on my foot, and, I feel like a lot of people didn't see those 6 weeks, and they're like, oh, she's walking now. Or then, when I got back up to school, I was in a boot for, I think 2 weeks up here, and then I was out of it, and so there's,
she's fine.
She's fine now, because, there's, no, sign, I guess.
Getting out of the boot, or, getting out of the brace, or getting rid of crutches that, to most people, it's oh, they're fine, but, that's really just, signifies the beginning of,
the recovery
and, the strength building, and, the physical therapy, and, it's literally just the beginning, and I don't think people, realize how much after that.
How much goes into it.
Yeah.
Because, I was biking as much as I could once I was even still in the boot, but then, after I got up here, now that I've been out of the boot since, I don't know, September, I think, and, I've been cross-training, but it's just, I'm still trying to get up to the point where I can, run a full 30 minutes before I can even, start to consider doing indoor or outdoor season.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel I also, get hyped for you on that because that's also something that, eventually I'm going to get there.
Yeah, and, you've been through it, so, you've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, but now you're, unfortunately...
At the back of the tunnel again.
At the back of the tunnel. Holding your breath.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no light right now.
Yeah.
It's a dim.
We're taking little steps.
Yeah. Literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. One foot in front of the other and hoping there's no limp in between. Yeah, so we hope that by diving into the specifics of our injuries, we can help other people going through something similar, or even anybody else with another long-term injury know that there's other people out there that have gone through these similar things. And yeah, Kate, if you want to elaborate on your injury and how it happened and what got you to this point today.
Okay, so I guess mine is going all the way back to September of 22. So I run cross country and track at Northern Michigan University, and we had a race the 10th, which was a race that I did 4 other times in high school, so it was nothing new or exciting. And then 4 days later, on an off day, I went on a hike, and I'd like to say I hopped off a rock or dropped off a rock, but everyone else thinks I jumped. They're wrong. But I landed on my left ankle, heard a pop, and only thing I remember saying was shoot, 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 shoot. My teammate said that I said right away my season's done. But yeah, so we hiked back. We weren't that far into the hike, but we did have to cross a stream, go up some gravel hills, down some pretty big gravel hills. But yeah, so we went to the trainer after that. They kind of looked at it. Basically just right away said we're gonna just see how it is day to day, because like they can't really see anything right away. About like 2 weeks into it, they said it's just a grade 2 sprain, no biggie. That'd be back in like, I don't know, 6 weeks maybe. Later on, they said maybe it was a hairline fracture, so we got an X-ray, no biggie. And then the doctor said if it like continued to get worse, that we'd get an MRI. But I thought like I don't know. I feel like I'm not really good with pain.
That's a topic for another time.
So I was just like, okay, yeah, like it's staying pretty steady. So we'll just start going. We'll start training. So yeah, months later, it just wasn't getting any better. So flash forward to February, we decided to get an MRI, and at that point I was quite literally praying it would be after the MRI that it would be something terrible. 'Cause I'm like, if it's like nothing terrible, like
why'd I go through this?
Why'd I go through this? Like, am I being a baby over this?
Yeah, it's like you don't want it to be like
terrible,
but like you've gone through enough and probably like complained about it that at this point like it just has to be.
Like I was telling my assistant coach, I was like, I'm quite literally hoping it's surgery, wishing it's like they need to amputate it, like
get me out of here.
Worst case scenario, and that's quite kind of what it was. Yeah, so he said I needed surgery. Almost got it right then and there, spring break, but we waited a couple more months to see like how it was feeling. May I might have re-injured it slightly again, running a mile around a roundabout. Maybe. We don't really know. But then in June, I got surgery that like attaches. I have like a synthetic ligament in my ankle now, so it attaches. If you know what like ligaments are called, the ATFL and the CFL, and this attaches those, and then so I have some screws in my ankle.
Yup.
But they don't go off at airports.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, and now I'm almost 7 months post-op.
But what's your time stamp in terms of this whole thing? How many months?
In terms of this whole thing, about 17 months, and I was cleared last month over break.
Good.
So we love that, but the surgeon said it could still take up to 6 more months of recovery. So anywhere from 16 to 22 months, I may be crypto.
Yeah, I feel like that's another thing we'll get into is like being cleared is not
what it's hyped up to be. Yeah,
like it's so nerve-wracking because you like know like I can be cleared, but it really is kind of just like another day before, another day after. Like it's
a piece of paper saying you're cleared, but it doesn't truly mean a whole
like you
lot.
still gotta, there's still a lot of recovery involved after that, both physically like and mentally.
Yeah.
So
well, let's talk about you.
Yeah. So fun. Yeah, so my going into my junior year of high school, so summer after sophomore year, I played, well, in high school I played basketball, soccer, softball, and golf, and I had just come off high school soccer season. I was moving into club season for soccer, and I also played like just a rec league of softball in the summers. And in high school I was playing goalie, so I wasn't seeing the field as much as I did in club, because club I played on the field. And so I think that kind of had a lot to do with it, because I kind of jumped right back into club. We had tryouts, played in a tournament, but I was playing a rec league, softball game, quite literally running from first to second base in a straight line and just literally collapsed. And it was like the weirdest thing, a lot of probably profanity coming out of my mouth, but like the initial, like when I collapsed, like initially it was like pain, but it was like almost gone in an instant. So I was like, oh, I'm fine, right? So I like spend my time on the ground, get up, go to walk, and like leg gives out again. And then it's like, oh, like I'd never really been injured before at all, so I was like, oh, like, you know, you take a few days, ice it up, and you're good to go.
Days.
Right? So I got x-rays, nothing was broken. Couldn't get an MRI because our insurance denied it, so I started going to PT, and they were like, oh yeah, like, you're fine, like, definitely didn't tear your ACL, definitely your knee's intact, so just a little PT, you'll be back at it. Right, okay. About a month later, got an MRI, completely ruptured my ACL. My meniscus was torn in 3 spots. I had fractured my tibial plateau and had bone bruising on my femur. So yeah, you know, definitely didn't rupture my ACL.
Clean sweep.
Yeah, had to do it all. So yeah, I waited a month to get in to see a doctor downstate and got surgery in October. So that was a June to October time frame. Had surgery, got cleared a year later, and then like fully released by my doctor after a year and 3 months. That was really hard time for me, especially like I feel like junior year of sports is like pivotal if you want to play collegiate sports, which at the time that was my mindset. That definitely changed. I didn't go back to competing my senior year. I was kind of like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to get back to where I was. Like, why risk re-injury? And my doctor kind of told me, like, you can't play contact sports again. More of a suggestion, but also kind of like, if you were smart, you wouldn't go back into high school athletics. And honestly, I'm thankful that I didn't. I think I had a lot of like perspective change with the whole thing. Yeah, so that was honestly not a great time in my life. But that was my right knee. Been kicking ever since. Fast forward 5 years later, and here we are sitting in this chair talking about this. Yes, so I played intramural basketball last year. That was like the first time I'd really like probably put my knee to the test in terms of like any sort of contact potential. Yeah, so then this year playing again, I went up for a pass from one of my teammates.
I believe so.
Yeah, Kate was there.
Courtside.
She saw it all happen.
About 4 feet away.
And caught the ball, came down, and just like felt, this is my left knee, felt the whole thing. Like, I knew instantly what it was. You didn't even have to give me an MRI. Like, you think you forget that feeling, you don't. And of course everyone's like, no, you don't know that, like, it's okay, don't like think about that right now. And I'm just like, I know, like, I knew in a sense, because originally, like, knowing that you had knee problems, I was like, once it happened, I was like, oh, it's the knees. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's the knees. Yeah, so same thing, on the ground, got up, walked away. I knew immediately that tears were coming out of my eyes, and I knew. And yeah, I luckily was fortunate enough to get an MRI like within almost 2 weeks, and surgery within a month. I'm like just over a month post-op. But yeah, same thing.
Month in a week? Month in 4 days?
Month and 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, close. So ended up with ruptured ACL, torn meniscus, not as bad, tibial plateau fracture, and bone bruising on the femur. So basically the same thing, other knee, a little less extreme in the meniscus section. But that I think we'll also probably get into the different types of ACL reconstruction, because I have both, so I'm kind of a test dummy in my own world on which one's better. But yeah, that's kind of me. I didn't expect to have 2 fully reconstructed knees by the age of 22, but
here we are.
I guess you don't plan for things. Yeah, so kind of ruined my plans, and sticking around Marquette another year. But
Some of us are happy about it.
Some people got a little lucky, not me. But yeah, so that's our injuries. We'll definitely probably dive a little more deep into them and
the whole recovery process of them. And stuff
but
like that.
just a basic overview of kind of what we're looking at. Like Kate said, hers was like a 6 to 12 month recovery, and ACL's similar. I think if you're smart about it, it's more towards the 12, but
depends on what your end goal could be.
That's true. I didn't return to athletics, whereas Kate is. I mean, I'm not a complete NARP, but
athletic NARP, most athletic NARP out there, I'd say.
Yeah. Definitely won't be playing pickup basketball anymore.
Burning the shoes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's us. The Crips.
The Crips. So next we're gonna talk about like having the importance of having someone to look at / base recovery off of, in the sense of that, like with Maggie's injury, ACL is super common, but with mine, it's not common at all. Like I've tried, like Googling my surgery, but it's also hard because my surgery is different than everyone's, because not only did they fix both the ligaments, but they also shaved down like a muscle belly because it was like crowding tendons and ligaments. So it's kind of hard to like see like different people's like road to recovery because it's not as common.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like to have like somebody to look at. I don't think it's necessarily good to compare, because then you're always gonna like feel like you're not good enough or you're not where you need to be, even though like everyone's process is like so different.
Like, oh, they did it in 9 months, why can't I?
Yeah, but like just in itself, seeing other people having gone through it is like way more helpful, and like to get through the process, knowing that like so many other people have been there, done that, like you can do it too. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and like I don't know, there aren't many people, like definitely not around here, or maybe I've seen like one other person like in PT back at home that might have had the same injury, but like I've tried looking up like professional athletes, or just like anything to just see like some sort of comparison. Like I mean, like you said, like not to like base myself off of, but like just to see like how they did it, like what even like looking at their timestamps, just to be like, oh, like they did it in this X amount of months. Like I don't know, I wonder like what I can make it in, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's hard too, because you mentioned earlier being cleared, but now you're kind of at the point that's like, now what?
Yeah,
you know,
like my coaches are also like, oh, like you're cleared, like you can do this and this, and I'm like, well, like technically yes, but at the same time, like I haven't even like hit a time, like a certain point where I can start doing workouts or just like other things like that. Like I'm clear to do everything, but to an extent.
Yeah, it's like kind of easing back into it and knowing when to push yourself and when not to. And I think that's where we differ a lot, is ACL recovery is so regimented. Like there's a strict protocol of you can't get into agility, jumping, running until you pass, this strength test. There's just so many like stepping stones, and I think it's a little bit easier process just knowing that like it's step by step, and you kind of like can't look too far ahead, because the second you do is when you're gonna make a mistake.
And I feel like for you it's nice because you're like, okay, like at this like X month, like I can most likely like do this certain thing, like do running or something like that. But like for me, really the only like months that there were that I had was like, okay, 6 weeks you can start like walking, 12 weeks you're out of the boot, and then at that point it's kind of like in PT where they're like, okay, well, like I know you just got out of the boot, but we're gonna try putting you through like a water treadmill workout to see like how that feels, and then slowly like going into like a treadmill or like more like hard surfaces. I don't know. I think this like isn't live because that'd be terrible. No one ever listen to this.
I feel
Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
So at the end of every episode, we kind of hope to recap kind of each other's short-term, long-term goals as well as where we're at in our recovery. Kind of more for a personal thing and keeping track of like where we're at and what we're working towards. Kate, short-term goal?
Short-term goal right now is running 30 minutes like straight because I'm on a return to run program right now. So I've been doing 2 minutes walking, 4 minutes running, but hopefully soon we can get to full-on 30 minutes, then go from there.
Nice.
Maggie?
Yeah, for me, I'm approaching my 6-week mark, and at that point I'm hopefully able to walk, and so kind of a short-term goal for me is to walk without a limp. I think it's kind of a given in the beginning when your strength is just so uneven, but kind of focusing on that and not like overcompensating on one side versus the other is a short-term goal of mine.
And then long-term, I think right now for me, doing indoor is kind of a stretch just because like our indoor season is so short, but I'm hoping outdoor season. How about you?
I think you can get to outdoor season.
We're hoping.
Yeah, and for me, I guess I'm kind of at the baby steps right now, just getting into my recovery process. So for me, at 2 months, I hope to be crutch-free and brace-free. I think that'll be a good milestone to reach, but also kind of a little scary because then you start getting into everything.
Yeah.
And like truly like trusting yourself and trusting your new knee again.
It'll be good though. I'll be hyped for that one. And then like recovery status, I'm almost 7 months post-op, so that's awesome. Today I got to run. It was probably my best run in well over a year, pain-wise, so that was good. Threw in a little 5-minute straight running in there. I know, getting crazy. But I felt good though. I think even right now, several hours after, it's feeling pretty good. So that's exciting for me since I haven't had that in, like I said, well over a year. So
yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it's cool to see from the outside because obviously like I know you've had bad days and good days, but like to have a super solid day that like you haven't had yet probably feels pretty good.
Yeah, I was excited for that one.
Yeah, as for me, I'm a little over a month out, so really haven't been able to do anything, but starting PT in probably a week or so, and that's just kind of the beginning of a long road, but I'm excited to start that and to get to move again, because for me, like, not being able to do anything is kind of killer. But yeah. Maybe I'll
See you in there since we go to the same PT place, so
maybe I'll see you there.
Catch you there.
Alright guys, it's been lit.
It's been great. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Hope to catch you on the next episode of the Crip Chronicles. We out.